If you're trying to lose weight, late night snacking is right near the top as one of the worst offenders to achieving your weight loss goals. Because we don't really snack on the healthiest stuff. You don't really hear people say that they snack on cauliflower and hard-boiled eggs late at night. We snack on the bad stuff. And in this video, we're gonna talk about why you crave snacks and dessert at night to begin with, and how you can actually stop these late night cravings once and for all. These are the exact same tips that I give to all my students, and they've all gone to see some amazing results. So you know it works. Before we get started, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell to get notified every time I post a new video every week. Okay, before we can actually stop these late night cravings, it's important that you understand why they happen to begin with. And it really boils down to 4 different factors. Because if we can find the source and cut the cord from there, then you are absolutely winning. Number 1, you're not eating enough during the day. If you've been following my channel, then you've heard me say this multiple times. It's not about eating less, but less frequently, because there is a world of difference between how your body reacts between those 2 eating patterns. And this is actually way more common than you think. Like if you do intermittent fasting, some people double up on their efforts because they want to achieve their results faster. So they put themselves on a massive calorie deficit on top of their fasting schedule. But if you don't eat enough during the day, then you don't activate those all too important satiety hormones that control hunger. Come late at night, you're hungry. And you might be able to hold off on this urge to eat for a day or 2, but you can really only fight hunger for so long because being hungry sucks. You can't fight your hormones. You're going against your physiology, and your physiology will always win no matter what. Side note, this is why relying on sheer willpower alone is a one-way ticket to yo-yo dieting struggle city, because your willpower runs out eventually. And if you've been struggling to lose weight, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. And the worst part about not eating enough during the day is that it triggers cravings for something sugary or salty, usually late at night. So your body can get a quick hit of fuel to make up for what it didn't get earlier that day. This is the number 1 reason, by the way, why cutting calories doesn't work. It has like a 99% failure rate because you're not accounting for satiety. The problem is, this is what a lot of nutritionists, dietitians, experts, and even your doctor, you know, your kind of overweight doctor, they just tell you to, just eat less and move more. But here's the thing, and I want you to rewind this video if you need to hear this again. Weight loss, in its very essence, isn't about counting calories. It's about controlling hunger. But instead, if you follow that advice, you're led to eating a lot of highly processed, low-fat versions of foods that are not satiating at all. Fat usually gets taken out of these frankenfoods because it's calorically dense, even though it's a highly satiating macronutrient, and then it's replaced with sugar. But your body's really smart. It's an adaptation machine, and its internal balancing mechanisms will always win out. Again, you can't fight your physiology. So it's not really your fault that you're susceptible to late night snacking. You've just been given the wrong information and your body's just reacting to it. But now you know better. Mistake number 2, you're eating too much refined carbs and sugar for dinner. If you've been following my channel, then you've probably heard me mention the hormone insulin once or twice. But just in case you're new, insulin is your storing hormone. Some experts refer to it as the master hormone because it's the hormone that controls your body weight. So it's important that we keep it moderated at all times. And out of all 3 macronutrients, carbs, especially refined carbs and sugar, spike the hormone insulin the most. And every time insulin goes up, you are in fat storage mode. So high insulin blocks fat burning. I want you to remember that. And this is why bread, rice, and this also includes whole wheat bread and brown rice, which can actually be worse for you because of its anti-nutrient content, and other types of simple sugars like granola bars, protein bars, breakfast cereal, which should really be called breakfast candy. All the foods in that category have such a big impact when it comes to causing weight gain because it causes a huge spike in your blood glucose, which then triggers a corresponding insulin response to store all that sugar as fat. On the flip side, if you look at better options like broccoli, cauliflower, leafy greens, it doesn't have those processed carbs and sugar that will cause your body to have that big spike in your blood glucose and insulin. You're also eating whole foods when you eat these vegetables versus processed foods. Now, you're still gonna get a small amount of insulin simply because all foods trigger insulin, but you won't get that same spike that you would with something like processed carbs and sugar. Now, you can probably deduce that you should be eating fat and protein, and you're right. But here's the thing. Even if you do eat those highly satiating fats and protein, I want you to think of a nice piece of ribeye steak, for example. If you pair that steak with simple sugar and refined carbs, like, I don't know, French fries, for example, then that's still gonna cause a subsequent spike in insulin and cause your body to not just store those carbs, but also any of the fats that you consume as well. And if you down your dinner with a glass of wine or a couple of beers every night, then you are in trouble. So let's say you're on a high carb diet, which is still the recommendation here in North America by the government. You're eating a lot of these highly processed foods and you go on a calorie deficit. But remember, high insulin from eating a lot of refined carbs blocks your body from accessing your fat stores for energy. The storing mechanism of insulin makes it so that your body has less energy available to actually use as fuel. And it makes you hungry as the result. Hence, the late night snacking. Do you see what I mean here? Guys, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe if you're new. It really helps support my channel. And this spike in insulin can last multiple hours after meals. And the effect gets compounded if you eat those little snacks in between meals, you know, when people graze on food all day. And this is when the irony of it comes into play, because you have at least 100,000 calories worth of stored energy in the form of body fat, but you're not able to tap into it because you're always in fat storage mode because of your high insulin levels. So your body instead, not wanting to die, sends hunger signals to get that quick hit of fuel, which is when those cravings at the end of the day come into play. Mistake number 3 is that you didn't eat enough protein at dinner. Again, we're still focusing on satiety here. That's the name of the game. Protein, along with fat, provides a really strong signal to tell your body that you're full. It's satisfied and you don't need to keep eating. Specifically, it triggers the release of certain hormones like peptide YY, which is triggered by protein, and CCK, which is triggered by fat. Those hormones tell your brain that it's full. You don't need to eat anymore. If you've ever been to an all-you-can-eat Brazilian steakhouse, for example, you get to a point where you literally can't eat any more meat. You get the meat sweats. And when you eat enough protein and fat, you can make it so that you're not hungry 3 to 5 hours after dinner, which would then completely abolish those sugar cravings at night. And if you didn't get enough protein to signal that peptide YY telling your brain that you're full, then this just circles back to that number 1 problem where your body thinks that it needs to keep eating, therefore you're gonna get that urge to snack. Number 4, you're extremely stressed. Stress triggers cortisol, which is your stress hormone. All you really need to know here is that chronically high cortisol levels leads to chronically high insulin levels, which, as we know through everything we've talked about, causes you to feel hungry and experience those really strong sugar cravings, aka stress eating. Okay, now that you understand the major mechanisms behind what causes late night cravings, let's dive into what you can actually do to prevent it. Number 1, make sure you're eating enough satiating meals and you're eating enough food. And I talk about exactly what foods to eat in my other videos, so make sure you check that out. But to simplify, what we really want to focus on are foods that contain fat, protein, and fiber, because they're highly satiating, they turn off your hunger hormones, so we don't get that urge to snack. Number 2, remove processed carbs, sugar, or any added sugar to your diet. This should be a dead giveaway at this point, but this step in itself is an absolute game changer when it comes to you achieving your weight loss goals, especially if you've been eating a high carb diet of processed starches and sugar. And some of these foods are even labeled as healthy. Again, like whole wheat bread and brown rice. And I have a separate video about these sneaky foods that you should check out. But here's a few examples that you normally wouldn't think is bad for you. Things like a skinny vanilla latte with however many pumps of sugar-free vanilla that you get it with. Again, all types of bread, protein bars, fruit juice and smoothies, protein shakes, and even those fancy acai bowls, because they're usually drizzled with honey or maple syrup, and even some fruit. And not that you can never have those foods, but if you want to lose weight and you're kind of struggling, you've hit the dreaded weight loss plateau, and you have really strong sugar cravings, especially late at night, those are the types of food that you really want to start limiting and not have them on a daily basis, and just start treating them as a cheat meal or a treat meal or a refeed meal or whatever you want to call it. And depending where you are with your progress, your weight loss goals, your activity level, or how long you've been carrying the weight that you're trying to lose. And this is where bio-individuality comes into play. Some people might need to limit those processed carbs and sugar more than others. This is why it's extremely beneficial to do a 21-day reset to just completely reboot your system from these highly palatable foods to give yourself a fighting chance here. And I'm gonna put a link to my 21-day weight loss challenge here if you want a proven plan on how to do this. Number 3, make sure you're getting adequate protein, because you might be consuming a lot less than you think, especially if you don't eat meat. And I'm not a big fan of obsessively counting calories, but if you feel like you might not be getting enough protein, then you might want to take a look at a typical day of what you normally eat and see if you meet the daily requirement of 0.7 grams per pound of lean body mass. For example, and I'm just gonna make it easy here, a 120-pound person with 20 grams of fat will have 100 pounds of lean body mass. So this person would have to eat 70 grams of protein every day. If you hit that number and you do it by eating real food, then your satiety hormones will get activated and therefore prevent those sugar cravings and snacking later on. But don't get too stressed about hitting that exact number. You just kind of want to be in the ballpark. Like, it's not the end of the world if you're 5 or even 10 grams over. And it's important for you to hitting your daily protein intake because protein is the building block of life. Otherwise, this is when you see people start to get weak, they lose their hair, or their nails become brittle. You don't want that. Number 4, do something else other than snacking. We now live in a society where we use food as a form of entertainment. And we snack usually just out of habit, like we're used to it and we're bored. But if you're trying to lose weight, you probably shouldn't be using food to help pass time. And I get it, you can't just stop a habit cold turkey. You have to replace it with something else. How about, I don't know, read a book or learn how to play an instrument, learn how to speak a new language, communicate with your spouse, or really anything that doesn't involve you putting food in your mouth. Number 5, manage your stress. This is a big one. Nothing stops your weight loss progress faster in its tracks than chronic stress. And I have a separate video on how to stop stress eating, so make sure you check that out. But this ties to my previous point. Instead of using food to cope with stress or using it as a form of entertainment, that's when we can get into practicing some really powerful forms of self-love, like journaling and practicing mindfulness through meditation, which both cost $0. But time and time again has shown to improve mental health and your overall sense of well-being. You can also go for a walk, and walking after dinner has been shown to reduce your blood glucose response by up to 30%. And the faster you can regulate blood glucose, the faster you can tap into your fat burning mechanism. Being outside, especially somewhere close to nature, and going for a walk has also been shown to reduce cortisol. Listen, practicing mindfulness through meditation, journaling, and going for a walk is like free therapy if you think about it. Just try it. I promise you, it'll change your life. Like, I've never met a person who didn't feel better after doing those things. Listen, I love food just as much as anyone out there, but your relationship with it plays a huge role when it comes to achieving your health and wellness goals. And if you follow all the tips I just mentioned, you're gonna be well on your way to stopping your cravings late at night and finally achieve your weight loss goals. The next question then becomes, how are you actually supposed to eat if you want to lose weight? Because here's the thing. 80% of your body composition is determined by your diet. You can't just freestyle this part. Do you have a proven plan that you can follow? To help you with that, I want to give you a free copy of my Lean Body Blueprint. This is how I melted all the fat around my stomach without depriving myself of my favorite foods or wasting hours at the gym. It's a simple 4-step process specifically designed for busy professionals, and it's the exact same blueprint that I teach to all my private coaching clients, and they've all gone to see some amazing results. If you want to be the next success story, then download your free copy of the Lean Body Blueprint right now. There's going to be a link somewhere at the top here or in the description box. Just click on it, type in your email, and I'll send it to you right away. All right, that's all I've got. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post a new video every week. And hey, leave a comment below if you have any questions about this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. First, a high five.